Different story time.
Okay.
There's a challenge here for Kathleen and Kate to talk about their cats. So each of you tell a cat story.
Just one?
Just one.
A short one.
I have a good one.
Okay.
So, I told this story on Twitter, but I'll tell it in.
Cat cringe story.
I titled it on Twitter as the story of me going slowly insane.
Yeah.
So we have two cats, and we have a big half Maine Coon named Cameron, who's like a big tabby, and he's really sweet and cuddly and full of love and super low maintenance. He is the best. And we have a little purebred male Maine Coon. He's little because he's only 2, or not quite 2 yet, but he is like this long and his tail is like this long. He's huge. He's probably like a meter long if he goes from like tail to tip of his nose. And Baxter is his name, and he is extremely picky about how he gets water. He only likes to drink fresh running water from the tub. And this is not a problem. We just leave the tub on a dribble for him, and then he, drinks water, and it's probably wasteful, but it's anything for my precious baby kitten.
I do the same thing.
So one day though, I was in the shower, and our downstairs neighbor knocks on our door, and I don't know this is our downstairs neighbor because I'm in the shower. I've never seen this lady before, but so I put on a towel. I'm like, what the F? And I just see a girl with long dark hair. I'm like, oh, it's Kate. Oh, maybe something happened.
We live in the same building. Let's just say that. So I live downstairs.
So I was like, something's gone wrong if Kate's knocking on our door, and so I go, hey, what's up? In a towel, and it's not Kate. It's my downstairs neighbor, and I'm like, hi. And she goes, there's Baxter. She goes, so I think that there's a problem with your shower because my ceiling is leaking a lot. And I was like, oh, I will not use that. And I called my landlord and I'm like, this happened. He's like, could you please not use your tub or shower until I can look at that? Because that sounds really bad. Because you live in an apartment building, and if enough water gets in, all the joists would rot and the drywall would crumble, and maybe my tub would come through or something awful like that. So I decided that should not happen. So no tub, and this only lasted for a day and a half because our landlord is on it. You just need to get a plumber there, and this was like Sunday afternoon. But Baxter starts going nuts because he is thirsty, and he is like, why can't I have a drink? And so I'm like, Baxter, here's a bowl of fresh water. I just poured it out of the tap for you. And he's like, no. And I'm like, Baxter, here, why don't you go to the bathroom faucet? And he's like, I am too tall to get my head under this faucet. No. And then I'm like, Baxter, why don't you go to the kitchen faucet? He's like, no, I'm not supposed to be on the kitchen counter. And he jumps down. And so he just meowed and meowed and meowed and meowed and meowed for hours and probably didn't drink anything. And eventually I got really, really sad, and I decided I got a pitcher of like a measuring cup from my kitchen, and I put Baxter on the bathroom counter, and I filled up the measuring cup with water, and I slowly poured it into the bathroom sink over and over again so he could have like a little ginger like drink from the fresh dribbling water. And I did this 3 times over the course of a day so he would not be thirsty.
Couldn't you just got a new cat?
I could have, but I like the one I have.
Baxter, there are lots of less picky cats out there.
Yeah.
He raises a compelling point.
Cats on nature's trash.
I mean, my story is not as interesting, but it's pretty cute. It's that you guys saw when I got Ari. She was a little fluff ball, and she was really tiny. I found out after I got her that she had actually been abused from being born to being 6 weeks old. And so she's a little messed up. But the first toy I ever got her was this monkey toy with really, really long arms. And at the time it was like 3 times the size that she was, but she's had it since I got her at 6 weeks. And so now, even to this day, she's like, I don't know, 2 or 3 or something, and she's pretty big. I'll just hear really loud meowing from like the other room, and I'll kind of call her over, and she will be dragging, yeah, that's her. She'll be dragging this monkey toy by one of its really long arms in her mouth while still meowing and tripping over it. And then she'll just bring it in and drop it and then look at me and then flop into it and grab it and then hug it and snuggle it and fall asleep. And it is the cutest thing I've ever seen, and I managed to catch it on video 1 time.
And you're like, what do you want me to do with this monkey? And she's like, "Rah."
Well, then I go for it, and she's like, that's my monkey.
That's my monkey,
That's
you
not
back
my
off.
monkey. So I'm looking for the video, but I can't find it just yet.
Cat stories.
That's my cute cat story.
Guys,